Hi, welcome to Naresh IT. This is Sai. In this today's session, we are going to see about how to load a driver and how to register driver with driver manager. We are going to discuss about these steps today, the internals of that. So let's look practically today. Importing the package java.sql.star. This package is required only for performing the database transactions, but in this scenario we are not using this. Class JDBC example 1, my class name, public static void main, string argument type of array, throws exception. I'm not interested to handle any exception, just throwing that. Now inside the main method, I'm saying the statement as class dot for name of sun dot jdbc dot odbc dot jdbc odbc driver. Now if you observe the point clearly here, sun dot jdbc dot odbc is a package name. JDBC ODBC driver is a class name. This combination is known as fully qualified name. So whenever if we are using class dot for name statement, always we need to pass fully qualified name as an argument. Combination of package name plus class name. So what I am doing here in this class dot for name means it loads your class into the memory. JDBC ODBC driver is a class. This class is loaded into the memory. So what happens whenever your class is loaded into the memory means your driver class, what happens internally, that we are going to see in this today's class actually. These internal points are very important because the same flow is applicable for any type of JDBC driver. That can be type 1 or type 2 or type 3 or type 4. Any architecture based driver, this internal flow is same. Okay. So now let's see. In the first step what I am saying, loading a driver, registering driver with the driver manager, how these operations will be done just with a single statement, class dot for name. What happens internally, let's see. So before this, I want to introduce a sample code snippet, a part of the code snippet to understand the driver internal code. Just I want to show you some snippet for your idea. They created package like this, package sun.jdbc.odbc. This is a package name. sun.jdbc.odbc is a package name. Inside this package here I am importing java.sql.star JDBC library as I imported here. java.sql.star. Similarly, they imported some other packages also, just for your idea. They created like this, public class. The name of the class is JDBC ODBC driver implements driver. Public class JDBC ODBC driver implements driver. Here I am implementing my interface driver. Where is this driver interface actually? This driver interface belongs to java.sql package, JDBC package. Remember the rule here, in order to develop as a JDBC driver, definitely your class must implement an interface called driver. This is the primary rule given from the Sun Microsystem for driver vendors. And as usually, whenever at the time of implementing an interface, you need to override all the abstract methods from the driver interface. We can't leave even single method from the driver interface. Remember this point. So what are the abstract methods we have in the driver interface? All methods you need to override. That is the point. We'll discuss what are the methods are there in the driver interface. We'll see in the coming sessions for your idea. Similarly, they have to provide a static block. It's mandatory. In this static block, you can see the statement here. Driver manager dot register driver of new JDBC ODBC driver. Closing this, closing the static block, and finally I am closing the class body also. This is what a sample code snippet of the driver. Not only JDBC ODBC driver, any JDBC driver must follow the same standard. There is no difference. Here the package name is sun.jdbc.odbc and the class name is JDBC ODBC driver. Anyway, they must implement driver interface, the primary point, and they must override all the abstract methods from this driver interface. They must override all the abstract methods from driver interface, and they must provide a static block, and this static block contains just one line statement. Driver manager dot register driver of new JDBC ODBC driver. So what this static block will do? You know, static block is loaded immediately whenever your class is loaded in the memory. At that moment only all static members are also loaded. Means your static block is also executed. In this static block they must provide a simple statement, only one line. Driver manager dot register driver. Register driver is a static method, belongs to driver manager class. So in our last session we seen about that the driver manager is a singleton class. It's a predefined singleton class. I told you what are the benefits of singleton class. Driver manager class is a singleton class, and this class contains one of the static method called register driver. To this register driver method they are going to pass your driver class object address as a argument. They are going to pass your driver class object address as a argument. So what this register driver method will do? Our register driver method registers your driver object address, whatever the driver class object address we created here. In this statement, if you see, our new operator creates object to this class JDBC ODBC driver class. This driver class object address is passed as an argument to my method register driver method. What this register driver method will do? This method stores your driver object address into the driver pool. Inside that it will store. So this is what a snippet to understand about the driver internal code. Exactly the same code will be there. Some other code is also there. I am not concentrating on the other part. I am just concentrating on the primary rules for developing a driver. So we'll recap once again what are the rules here. In order to develop as a JDBC driver, definitely their class must implement driver interface. Driver interface belongs to java.sql package, our core JDBC package. In the driver interface, what are the abstract methods you have? All methods you must implement, and they must provide a static block. The static block must contain a statement driver manager dot register driver. To this method they must pass the driver class object address as an argument. That's all. Now let's come back again to our statement here. Class dot for name of sun dot JDBC dot ODBC dot JDBC ODBC driver. And if you observe here I am giving the throws exception. I am not giving the try catch. So what is the meaning here? In case if any exception is occurred in the main method, we are not interested to handle, we are forwarding those exceptions to the JVM, because JVM is a caller to the main method. Always caller must be handled to the exceptions. Now to the class dot for name statement, here I am giving the fully qualified name, the combination of package plus class name. Now what this statement will do internally, I will tell you now. Class dot for name statement initially finds for your package sun.jdbc.odbc. Initially it is checking this package in your current working directory location. Current working directory means this one, JDBC underscore Sai. Why? Because here only I am going to execute my program. In this current directory, that package is not at all available. Then control goes to your class path. That means in your environment variables, in the permanent path setting, in the class path, whether you configured any class path for this package or not, looking for that. In that class path also, if this package is not available, then control goes to Java library location, rt.jar file. Yes, that jar file contains sun.jdbc.odbc package. Then in that package, it finds for your class JDBC ODBC driver. Yes, that class is available, and verifies whether this class is loaded in the memory or not, already loaded or not. No, not yet loaded in this program. First time we are loading the driver. So what happens here? It loads this class into the memory. JDBC ODBC driver class is loaded into the memory. Loading means, I told you, your class metadata information means this JDBC ODBC driver class metadata means your class name, variable names, method names, method access specifiers, what kind of exceptions which we are throwing, everything. The complete metadata information is encapsulated in the java.lang.class object internally. At that moment, whenever your class is loaded in the memory, immediately the static block is executed. The driver class static block is executed. Your JDBC ODBC driver class we loaded now. The driver class, that loaded driver class static block is executed. In this static block, what we are doing here, driver manager dot register driver. So what happens here? We are first time using this class driver manager. We are first time using this class driver manager dot register driver. First time we are using this driver manager class. Means it verifies whether this driver manager class, before invoking register driver method, first of all JVM confirms that is this class is loaded or not in the memory or not. No, not yet loaded. First it loads the driver manager class into the memory. So whenever the driver manager class is loaded into the memory, the driver manager class object is created. That is the concept of singleton man. If you know the singleton concept in core Java, this point is very clear for you. Whenever the driver manager class is loaded in the memory, immediately the driver manager object is also created. This object is created only one time, because at the time of loading the class into the memory, at that moment only object is also created. This point is to be very clear. So in this driver manager object, Along with this, the driver pool is created, a single dimensional array. This array is nothing but our vector collection, java.util.vector class. That vector object, this is internally a single dimensional array. This driver pool is created as soon as your driver manager object is created. So in that driver pool, under the 0th index position, our registered driver method collects your driver class object, means our new operator creates an object for this class JDBC ODBC driver. That driver class object address is stored in the driver pool. So who stores that object address into this driver pool means our registered driver method. So before calling the registered driver method, our driver manager class is loaded into the memory, because first time we are using this class. Whenever the driver manager class is loaded in the memory, immediately the driver manager class object is created. At that moment only your driver pool is also created. That driver pool address is stored in the driver manager object only. After creating the driver pool, then what this registered driver method will do, it collects your given driver object address from the new operator, that is your JDBC ODBC driver. That object address is stored in the 0th index position inside the driver pool. This is nothing but registering the driver with driver manager, means internally we are storing in the driver pool only. Okay. So this is about the internal story to understand here. For the confirmation, just I want to print a statement system.out.println driver loaded, system.out.println driver registered with driver manager, driver registered with driver manager. Saving this application under the C drive in my folder JDBC underscore Sai, saving this as a2.java. Now Java C space compiling the program, a2.java. Program is compiled successfully. Java space JDBC example1. Run the application now. You can see the output right now here. Driver loaded, driver registered with driver manager. So this is what steps to understand internally the outline view about how the driver is loaded and how the driver registered with driver manager. The complete internal flow we discussed in this session very clearly. In the next session, we are going to see about the rest of the steps, how to establish a connection with the driver to the database, and how to perform the database transactions using driver. So in the next session, we'll see with MySQL database, we'll see some couple of programs with this JDBC ODBC driver, this type 1 driver with MySQL database. I will show you in the next session, and after that we'll discuss about other driver architectures also with some examples. That's all for this session. Thanks for watching.